All right, so I am now live. Thank you guys for joining me previously. I had to end the live because I wasn't seeing, I don't know if it was showing up on your end, but it wasn't showing up on mine. So I had to just end the live and restart it. So thank you guys so much for those who came on. But now let's just get into what I came on here to talk about. All right, so have you ever felt like you're doing all the right things? You're showing up, you're chasing your goals, you're working hard, you're trying to figure out your next move. But at the end of the day, you feel empty. You feel like nothing is connecting, like you're not doing the right things. This has been me this week, and I kept trying to find the perfect topic to come on here and talk about, right? And honestly, nothing came. And you get into that natural spiral of questioning. Of course, I know I could talk about anything because there's a lot of things that I want to share with you guys. But the one thing that aligns and makes you feel, okay, this is it, it just never came. But I realized the feeling of emptiness, the searching for answers in the wrong places, that's actually something that we all go through. And tonight I want to talk about it because maybe you're in that season too. And, let's just have a conversation about it. So, the first thing I want to talk about is searching for the wrong things in the right places. I've always heard this concept of searching for the right things in the wrong places, but I've never really thought about it in the context of searching for the wrong things in the right places. And honestly, this came about in a very mundane task. I do believe that deep lessons are in mundane things. It's just if we're willing to listen to it and to really understand what he's trying to say to us. I was doing a puzzle. Yes, I have a puzzle book. I don't care, judge me if you want, whatever. But I was doing a puzzle and I saw this word. I looked at the word. I searched for it in the puzzle and I couldn't find it. I was searching for so long. I searched every single corner of the puzzle, still couldn't see it. And it came to me, okay, let me just check back the word. When I checked the word, I realized I was looking for the wrong word. No wonder why I couldn't find it. But I was looking in the right place, in the confines of the puzzle. And so I started to think, what, how did I miss this? And what are the other wrong things that I am looking for in the right place? And I'm thinking, I'm trying to find this perfect topic to talk about, but what if this is something that you needed to hear? What if you are looking for the wrong things in the right place? Sometimes things get a little bit difficult and complicated, and we think, okay, this is not for me or not. But what if it is? You're just looking at it the wrong way. You're just looking for it to feel or look a certain way, but that's just not what it's, showing. That doesn't mean it's the wrong thing. But so I wanted to just talk about that a little bit and to just identify some things that maybe are traps, that we just have this context of how things is supposed to be, and probably we are in this trap, and that's why we feel this kind of emptiness, and we think fulfillment will come from the next thing, the next job, the next more money, all of that. And that's not necessarily true, right? Because sometimes the reason why we have this emptiness inside is because we're searching for the wrong thing in the right place. We're chasing validation instead of meaning, right? We're chasing noise instead of clarity. There's this couple on YouTube, Alex Armozy, I hope I'm not butchering his name, and oh my gosh, I forgot the wife's name, but they are both Lexi or Alexi or something like that. And they both have YouTube channel. They're the founder of acquisition.com. I'm sure I did not say her name right. But she had a video talking about this concept of validation, but she's talking about in the context of ignoring applause, because when we sometimes we want other people to clap for us, and when they clap we think we're doing the right thing. And applause, what she said was, applause does not necessarily mean that you're doing the right thing. The person clapping for you may just think that's the right thing, and that's just based on their experience and based on their judgment. So instead of trying to find the answers outside of ourselves, among other people who sometimes we do want to support because that shows us that we're getting somewhere, but Let it be second nature, not the first nature. Let the first nature be within us and trying to find what we need inside, because everything that we need is here, it's not there. All right. So I want you to type in the chat what's something you thought would make you feel old, but it didn't. Maybe that's a career path. Maybe that's making more money. Maybe that's having the dream car, the dream house, the dream, whatever it is. Just drop it in the chat and let me hear what your thought process is on this. And if you don't want to drop it in the chat, you can always put it in your notes. The idea is for you to get clarity on these things. It's not for me, it's for you. All right. And while you do that, I want to talk about this next concept, which is repetition and why repetition is king. All right. I want to talk about this concept that growth doesn't come necessarily from trying a new thing. I constantly trying new things. It comes from consistent repetition, right? Think about it like, oh, I like to think about it is in the context of some examples. Like, if you want results from working out, you have to do repeatedly these workouts, whether they're boring or excited. So you have to keep doing them. If you want your business to grow, you have to show up daily. If you have a YouTube channel and you want it to grow, you have to consistently uploading. But because sometimes things feel boring, we try to chase novelty instead of being present in those moments. I have a very personal example of this that happened a couple years ago, but of everything that happened in my childhood, this is one thing that stood out to me time and time again. And I don't think this lesson will ever go away from me. And I hope you can get something from this as well. Give me 1 second. All right. So when I was in grade 4, I had this math teacher who was teaching us long division. And for about 2 months, she was literally coming every single day and putting these long divisions on the board. And I honestly was super aggravated. Even in grade 4, I don't even remember what age that was, but even in grade 4, I could literally feel my aggravation. I am so annoyed. Why are we doing this every single day? What's the point? And she came and she put the long division on the board one of these days. Let's say it's a Monday. And I said, again? The teacher turned around and looked at me. She turned back around and she wrote a problem on the board. And then she turned around to me and she said, come and do it. Come and do it forwards. I got up out of my seat, all proud and cocky and egotistical, walked over to the board to do the work. I finished. Everybody in the class is all looking at me. I'm at the front of the class, all that. And when she went over the work, I got it wrong. You may have guessed that because this says, the proud, exalt yourself and you will be humbled. The Bible says that, right? And I exalted myself in that moment. So I got it wrong. I got a whooping in front of the entire class. I was so embarrassed. Yeah, as you could imagine, right? But I wasn't just embarrassed because I got a whooping in front of the class. I was embarrassed because I got it wrong. Because we're doing this for 2 months. How could I get it wrong? And obviously, I was doing my assignments, turning them in on time, and I was getting them right. So I wasn't thinking I had a problem. And maybe that teacher made it a bit more difficult for me because she wanted to prove her point. Who knows? But besides the point, the energy that I took to be aggravated, that same energy I needed to take to focus on becoming an expert, because I was getting the opportunity to do so much reps that I could become an expert. And I was more focused on the fact that I'm doing it too many times. Right? And the lesson from this is success is hidden inside the repetition. If we're doing something and we feel like, okay, it's not going the way that we want, as much as sometimes we do feel discouraged, the success is in the repetition. We have to keep putting in the reps and keep going and keep going and keep going. And you get the point, right? That's where the success is, in the repetition. It's not avoiding the things because, oh, we're bored, or oh, I'm tired of doing this. Yes, you're tired of doing it, but that's how you get good. That's how you get better. That's how you become an expert. So I want you guys to drop in the chat if this is relatable to you, if you had any moments like this where something clicked, where you're like, yeah, I kind of let my ego got in the way. I should have humbled myself and be a student in that moment to become an expert, right? Drop a yes in the chat if you're guilty of having that experience, or instead of sticking to the process, you skip on to the next thing. Drop it in the chat and let me hear your viewpoints on that. All right. So, the next point that I want to talk about is what emptiness really means. And the truth I had to face is this: is feeling empty doesn't mean you're failing. It's a signal. It's something that we have to pay attention to, something that we have to listen to, and to really understand what it means, we have to stay still and stop doing too much, just being noisy all over the place. Stay still. A thing that feels boring to many people, but that's where we find the answer. Maybe that emptiness is a signal of misalignment. It's maybe a signal that you need rest, or a signal that you're looking for external validation instead of building from within, right? We're in this oh, what do you say, this decade, or in this time of society where everybody is just bored all the time. Nobody wants to sit still and really pay attention to what's really going on. I was working as a kids club attendant, and in this room, very nice big room where kids would come while they're selling timeshares for the hotel. And I had 5 TV screens with video games. We had PS4, PS5, Xbox, and we had a TV that had Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, all of it. And every day I would sit at my desk and I would just sit there. I turned nothing on because I wanted to sit down. I wanted to hear my thoughts. I wanted to understand what I was feeling and why I was feeling it, and being able to come up with those answers. And every time my supervisors came, they were like, "Aren't you bored? Aren't you bored? Why don't you turn the TV on? Why don't you this? Why don't you that?" And I was never bored. And everybody was trying to create a solution for my boredom that did not exist. And I was so intrigued by it, because I was like, why is it that nobody's able to sit still and just think and to just really understand what's going on, and why do I feel this, and why can I not sit with myself and not feel bored? Why do I have to be bored just because that's expected? And so moving forward, you know what happened? She came in there and they had me turn everything on every single day because they were so aggravated that I'm not bored. So they wanted to solve my problem, which I didn't have. But that's the thing. We have to really pay attention to that empty feeling to identify what it really means. That's how we are able to identify it. All right? So I want you to tell me in the chat, or if you want to write it down in your own personal journal, do whatever helps you, because at the end of the day, I'm coming on here to share my journey, and I hope this is helpful to you. But at the same time, you are on your journey. We are on our journey simultaneously. So you have to do the work for yourself to get yourself to the level that you're trying to be. But I want you to think about this and really put some thought into it, really think about it and digest it. What's one area of your life right now that feels empty? And what do you think is trying to tell you? What do you think is trying to tell you? What is it communicating? All right. So, nothing in the chat. All right. I'm going to talk about a practical framework how to shift out of this emptiness. And this is not a emptiness framework. It's a framework that applies to everything in life, but it can also apply to this season or this feeling. All right. And we're going to change. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to change our mindset. We're going to reframe this emptiness as a signal. Like I said, pay attention to it. Try to understand what is communicating to you. And from that, and from those answers that you get, you're on your way to solving the problem. I don't know any one person who just gets everything sorted out and they just decide that, okay, I am okay now, I'm good now. So we have to reframe this emptiness as a signal so that we can pay attention to it and understand what it's trying to communicate. All right? The next thing we're going to do is change our decisions. We're not waiting for a big fix. It doesn't matter how gigantic your goals are. Don't for 1 second think that the moment you achieve your goals, your life is just going to be perfect. No, the same feeling of emptiness that you had inside is still going to be the same emptiness that you have if you don't really solve the problems that are causing that feeling in the first place. So, what we're going to focus on is repeating small, consistent habits instead of trying to just wait on that big jump. And this next one is your environment. You have to be around things and people that push you higher, to push you to be higher, push you to do higher, and not just drain you. All right. So these three shifts are how I'm pulling myself out of this season, and I think they can be very helpful to you as well. All right. So if you feel like you're in the wrong place in life right now, trust me, you're not behind, you're just starting. And that's what I say to myself every time when I feel down. And don't one thing I want you to do is do not compare your process with anybody else's process. The way I process my emotions is different from the way my sister does, from the way my mom does, and we are all women, right? It's gonna be different from the way my brother does. We are different genders, but it's gonna be different for every person. And it doesn't mean that my process is better than theirs. It just means we have different processes. And when we get into this trap of comparing how we solve problems or wishing that we did it like the next person, we're putting ourselves in this space to never truly see who we are and to never truly understand ourselves. And when we communicate that to other people and they're judging us, why do we join them? So understand your process, understand how you feel, why you feel that way, and what is communicating and how you can solve it based on just sitting, being still, and trying to be intentional about how you interact in those still moments. All right? Because like you can have all of the things, the degrees, the experience, the life, etc., and still not feel like you're there. And that doesn't mean that you won't get there. It means you're in the process. All right? So I know I've said a lot, but I want you to drop one word in the chat right now. Even if you're watching the replay, you can still comment. I will go through and I will interact with everything. I will answer any questions, anything. I will definitely get back to you on any questions that you have. But just comment one word that describes how you are feeling in this season. And as I said, if you don't feel comfortable commenting, write it in your journal, write it down on something that you can see it, because this is your journey. We're just in it simultaneously. All right. But if this live gave you something, hit the like button so YouTube can know that people needs to hear this, and share this with a friend who feels like they're stuck, because they need to know, especially right now, that you're not alone and they have people walking alongside them. It said that your strong friend really needs a friend. That's so true, right? And if you want more honest conversations about growth, business, and self development, subscribe and stick around because we're building this journey together. Thank you so much for joining me tonight, and I will see you in the next one.